good morning. Welcome to the Philippines. Welcome back to my channel, everyone. It's a beautiful time here in the Philippines. And this week, we're actually doing something a little different. So I have this cool idea where I'm trying to set everything up like a news studio. So you guys gonna have to help me to fine tune this and just bear with me as I work on the different setup. But I'm excited. I'm excited for this setup. And so basically, instead of like a one-shot video, I want to do like a weekly report of what transpired throughout the week. Again, if you like these videos, I encourage you to always subscribe to my channel. You can go to Flying by Faith YouTube if you're watching this on Facebook, or you're just seeing this video somewhere on some website or something. Just go over, subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can follow me on my Facebook page, By His Stripes Ministries, and you can follow me on Instagram, Missionary Pilot 172. So I'm your host, Davin Bennett, medical missionary pilot from Jamaica, stationed here in the Philippines. So let's just get right into it. This week was just a lot of experience. So some of the top stories that I'm gonna be sharing with you that occurred this week. I had teenager. I was a preteen. They say it's an, I don't want to say infant, but it's a kid, like really young teenager, got pregnant, had a baby, 4 days old, and it has not pooped since birth. That one was a very crucial patient. I had 16-year-old with CMI. I had older man passing feces when I'm 20 minutes about to land. So a lot of things happened this week, and I'm just gonna share those stories with you. So first week request came in on Tuesday this week. Basically, this is my longest flight. It's over 538 nautical miles, the total mission. So basically, it's a 2-hour flight from base to get to that location to pick up the patient. And it's one of those things where you got to get weather right, you got to make sure you plan everything properly, your fuel and so on. And so I accepted that call and I went out. I checked the weather, and weather looks good. But as you can see, right now these days, everything after 12, 1, 2, 3 o'clock, it's somewhat suicidal. So I make sure I try to get everything done very early in the morning. The first patient that I transported, and one thing we try to do is I try to link all the flights. So while I'm gonna go that far to pick up someone, if there's any patient en route, I will actually pick up, drop off on my way to that destination. Sometimes I do it coming back, and you'll see that dynamics as you continue to watch these videos. First patient that I transported this week was actually a pregnant girl, 25 years old. Due to the isolation, the COVID lockdown and so on, the different quarantines, she didn't want to give birth where she got stuck, because there's no family there, no support. So she sent in a request for us to transport her to give birth where her family and friends are connected closer to the hospital. Later on, I got news. I transported her, and within 2 days of transporting her, she gave birth, bouncing baby boy. So that was a good news and good timing. When I have these long flights, I just I have a lot of time to think and reflect on Christ. I pray a lot. I make plans. And I pinch myself. I'm still in that phase where pinching myself, looking at where I'm coming from, just amazed at the different things that God has allowed me to do. So solo flight for me is those meditational moments to spend with God. The police continue to do their checks. It's getting more and more rigid with paperwork and requirements. So every time I bring a patient, they have to have a long list of documents before they are able to get out of the airplane. My contact here, there's a beautiful story in connection to this is my contact. He was actually my student when I was a medical missionary teacher when I first visited the Philippines over 9 years ago. When I first visited the Philippines, he was one of my students, very good student. After medical missionary training, he went on to pursue his career as a pastor. I know he's working. And this is my route again, another long day. I'm gonna pick up more patients again, long road trip. And when I usually do this trip, I basically I have like 80 gallons of fuel, which is equivalent to about 7.5 hours of flight time. When I do this long haul to go all the way up to Batanes or Basco, and then I'll come down and I'll make some more, one or two more pickups before I head back to base. I usually log like 6.5 hours max out of that, and I have plenty of fuel left when I'm finished with the trip. A request came in this week again to that long haul, but you know what? It was one of the most beautiful days out flying. I mean, it's solo going to pick up the patient. I'm just by myself, and I had a lot of time to enjoy nature and that quiet time with that. So I took a few shots just to share with my friends who are on my Instagram. You know, these are Instagram shots, as you can see. This volcano, I'm doing some research to see if it's active. It's on the Babuyan Island, and it looks beautiful, but I do see signs that says it erupted sometime in the past, so I continue to do research. This is the coastline of the Philippines, Luzon area. This is my last like after seeing this land, I will be over the waters for the rest of the time. And to be safe, I have a raft and I have vest that I wear on myself, and I have life vest for all the patients and the watchers that will be traveling with me. So Pastor is getting a little closer and closer because of the quarantine. He was not able to come anywhere past the gate, so we just had to take this little picture with the airplane in the background. But this time around, they allowed him to come in because there was patients returning home, it's mothers returning home with their baby, and I needed extra hand to bring the luggage to the airplane, so he was able to come in and he offered the prayer for us before we actually took off for the flight. When I landed to drop that mother off with her baby returning home, they continued to disinfect the luggage and the supplies. So that's just one of the DOH worker spraying down. That last mission was very lengthy in that there was multiple calls that came in, and I had to choose between the last one. I only had enough fuel to do one more trip, so it was a very tight decision where a request came in for a 19-year-old pregnant lady, and I accepted that the night before. But then when I landed at one point, a new request came in, which was that 4 days old baby that needs to be transferred because the baby has not pooped since birth, and the mother is they said the mother is a minor, so somehow maybe 14 to 16 years old, and the baby's having complications. So I had to choose between, because I only had enough fuel and time to do one more, so I chose the 4 days old baby over this 19-year-old. So first thing in the morning, I went back out, refuel, and I was able to transport her. She's 19 years old. This medevac was a little close to home for me because my mom had me when she was 19 years old. She is married. That's her husband beside her. But my mom wasn't married. So, you know, my heart goes out to her. It was a blessing to transport her. She's having complication with the pregnancy. So we're just hoping that everything will go well. We did our part in getting her out so that she can go to the hospital. I would say this week was like pregnant ladies, whether they have just given birth or they are about to give birth. This was a baby week. I would call this my baby week out transporting patients. This is an actor. It's a native Filipino, and her husband huge tummy. Again, I don't know if they were afraid of flight or what, but as we flew, they were just constantly looking out, and they're the native Filipino that's more in isolated area. Actually, these are the people why we kind of exist. They're virgin people, like isolated, completely off grid. But every now and then we're able to bring them out and help them to get the medical care that they need. They had to wait at the project for a while before the ambulance came to pick them up, so we gave them nice seating, gave them some food, and then finally the ambulance showed up. The ambulance showed up and took them to the hospital. So it was a nice, successful week. Couple of things popped up. I remember I was 20 minutes out from landing on one of my flights this week. I had an adult patient. He has multiple swollen lymph nodes and some other long list of complications. Somehow he couldn't hold his bowel movement, so fortunately he had a diaper ready, so he put it on, and he had to do it right there in the airplane 20 minutes out. And with the COVID requirements, I had a mask, so I was somewhat prepared for that stench, I would say. But the airplane, it's a small little canopy, and I had to tune that smell out. Fortunately for me, as a medical missionary, I've had patients before where I had to clean their butts, remove their feces, and so on. So it was not a new stench for me personally. And again, a lot of you been asking me how you can become a missionary pilot. Some of you are saying you want to have my experience, and then I'm like, I don't know if it's the glamour of flying that you guys are attractive to or what, but it can be dirty work at times. It can be filthy, it's smelly, but you gotta tune everything out. I've had patients vomiting short final. I had to tune that out. Sometimes people are screaming, they're bleeding. All different things happen in that small little cockpit, and I have to step in, tune everything out, and remember that my first priority is to fly the airplane. In closing, many of you have been asking me, how can I be involved with this ministry? How can I support? How can I give? What can I give to? What can I support? Well, here's one thing that came up. We have been doing some research on the maintenance of our aircraft, and these two black things here, they are, I would consider them like the kidney of the airplane, right? We get power from these things. It's how the engine functions. It's how it operates. And so sooner or later, at some point here coming up shortly, we're going to have to be changing these two magnetos so that we can continue our operation. So we've done some research, and we found out that we want to replace them with these kinds. They require less maintenance somewhat. They are more efficient. They have a longer lifespan to them. And don't be intimidated by the price. It's $1,695, but we believe that God can sustain this ministry. He has been sustaining it since 2007. We know that this is his ministry. It's his airplane, and we just put this into his hands. So if you're looking for an area that you want to contribute to, $16.95 will help us to give this airplane a kidney transplant real soon. It's basically replacing the two magnetos for it. We also encourage you to become a fuel patron. We are not financially compensated by these flights that we do. We're a non-profit organization, so fuel is a precious commodity for us. The more fuel we have, the more individuals we can help. So we encourage you to partner with us in becoming a fuel patron. The link will be in the description bar below. You can click on it, sign up. You can make a one-time donation. You can become a multiple recurring fuel patron to give monthly. You decide. So a link will be in the description bar. On behalf of everyone here at Philippines Adventist Medical Aviation Services, we could not go through this week without your prayers and support. For my ministry, By His Stripes Ministries, and Flying by Faith, and so on, we could not do what we do had it not been for your prayer and your support throughout this week, throughout the years. So we thank you again for everything you have been doing for us, and we look forward to continue to partnering together to deliver hope and continue to save lives. God bless. Thank you. And I hope that this week's report, pregnant ladies, babies, sick people, pooping out the airplane, babies who haven't pooped. And I forgot one interesting story. 2 years old little girl was molested in her community and needed to see an OB-GYNE, and so we were able to transport her. These are just a small snapshot of the thousands of lives that we use a small airplane to help. God bless. Thank you again for watching Flying by Faith. We'll see you on the next week's report.